Hello, my name is Jana Osta. I'm a hypnotherapist and a Kundalini yogi, and I'm really excited to be today on this conversation with Pearl.
Hello, sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on. Now there ain't no shade around here. Once you leave the clouds, you're under. Ain't it funny how there ain't no rain or clear? Why'd it take so long to leave you in the rearview mirror? Now nobody gonna steal my sunshine or turn my blue sky gray. All I know is at the end of the day, wildflowers grow when there ain't no.
Hey everybody, this is Pearl, and I'm so excited we are back for another Conversations with Pearl. And if you're listening to this, I have just come off our amazing retreat we do every year. We had 17 amazing women who were so empowered to experience their journey of possibilities. And that's what this podcast is all about, is bringing women on that are really experiencing their journey of possibilities. And today is no different, because today we have Jana Osta. She is a hypnotherapist, holistic life coach, and yoga as well as meditation teacher. Throughout her 10 years working in corporate, she started seeking deeper meaning in life and immersed herself in a journey of self-development and healing. Her first yoga teacher training in India, oh, how cool is that, had her transformation and helped her open her eyes to a whole new world of possibilities. She became mesmerized by the power of the mind, which is a powerful thing, which led her to seek a diploma from the Accredited School of Hypnotherapy. She's also a Kundalini Yoga Teacher. Hopefully I said that right. She'll help me later. With an expansive depth of understanding in yogic studies, meditation, and spirituality. All my jam. Her passion to learn more about the body and holistic wellness led her to become an INN, which is also known as Integrative Institute of Nutrition, certified holistic and wellness coach. This is so powerful. I just love all this great information. Jana loves supporting people to step into their true potential, live their life's purpose, and who should not be living their life purpose. And I love that she combines energy and mindset work to uplift people's lives and helps them to release those limiting blocks that are in the way of our true expansion. So she changed careers, launched her own business. She bungee jumped the highest bridge in the world, hiked the highest mountain in Africa. Oh my gosh, all my fears, and plans to keep seeking new heights. So who's in for the ride today? I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, Jana, okay, first of all, the highest mountain. I'm scared to death of doing a zip line, girlfriend.
It's not that bad. No, Kilimanjaro, honestly, transformative journey, like life-changing. Such an immersive journey to be on that hike. It challenges you in new ways, and it was just really beautiful. So I couldn't recommend it enough, and it's possible for you and everyone who's listening. It is, it
She's
is.
gonna have me out doing the jumping. I don't know. We'll see. I tried a few years ago, a little zip line. All my friends like, that doesn't count. It was just a little outdoor boardwalk thing. I'm like, hey, I was off the ground. I have a fear of being off the ground. So,
Yeah, I get it. But I just love the adrenaline rush. It brings me into the moment. You're just in the fear, and that sometimes helps you forget everything about life and just be there. And I love
That's
that.
so cool. And how old were you when you did that? How
How
long ago
old
was
was
that?
it?
Yeah.
That was like 3 or 4 years ago,
Oh, so not long
approximately.
ago.
Not long
Wow.
ago, no.
An
Yeah.
adventurer you are. I love it. It's so much fun. So I know we connected on Instagram and social media, which is, that's one thing. I mean, I'm 58 years young. When I was in school, we didn't have all this great things that we connect with. And I just love that we can connect all across the globe with people, and especially amazing women like yourself. And so I would love to know a little bit. I know you're in Ireland, but you and I were talking before the show that that's not where you're from. But take us back. I always like to start in the beginning. So take us back a little bit, like when you were a lot younger, what was life growing up for you, and kind of like what led you to this journey you're on today?
Ooh, all right. Well, I'm from Lebanon, from Beirut City, a beautiful small country in the Middle East, right there on the Mediterranean Sea. Such a beautiful country. At the same time, it's a country that's amidst a lot of political struggles and wars and um, struggles that the people have to go through every day, you know, from not only a political standpoint, but also a way of living and safety and security and financial stability. Like it's a place that you go through a lot of hardship, unfortunately. At the same time, there's a lot of beauty to it, you know, because people, when they are in that state, they tend to find ways to celebrate and live life and enjoy. So we become very resilient and strong and kind of fighting for our lives in a way. So that's I grew up in that. I grew up in that state where I learned how to, you know, stand up for myself, and I learned how to follow my dreams and go for it and travel and leave and do the things that you love because life's too short. So we tend to learn that from a very young age because our parents grew up in wars, basically. So yeah, that's I grew up in Lebanon, and basically as soon as I graduated, my dad literally pushed me. He's like, "Leave, you know, we love Lebanon, but leave and kind of find a career outside." And I traveled to Dubai, which is the closest, most convenient, and at the same time, the place of opportunities, especially for people around the Middle East. And Dubai made sense, and I went there with kind of, you know, a mission to create you know, a career for myself, a financial foundation. I was very focused on that, you know, the system, basically safety, security, check the list, you know, I have to have that place for myself, buy a house, you know, I was very focused on that. And you know what, I was very good at it, I must say. I was quite successful, I was very determined and committed to that lifestyle. But at some point, I started to feel this kind of lack of passion, lack of joy, to a point where I started to experience a lot of stress, anxiety, and burnout, where I would feel like, okay, so I'm checking all of these marks, I'm, you know, becoming financially independent, I have this career, I'm going up that ladder, but I'm not happy. I go back home crying. I feel stressed. I'm not fulfilled. And that's where I started to ask questions and kind of open doors for new answers. So that's a bit about the background, but I could dig as deep as you want to
I
go.
I love that. Well, I love that you started like asking questions, because here in the United
Yeah.
States, everybody's always about, I want that, I want the white picket house, I want like you were checking the boxes off, like many of us do,
Yeah.
and then at the end, it's like it's really not the material things that make us happy. It's like there's more joy inside of us, and what do I want? I just did an episode with a young girl who lived out of her car for a year. Amanda
Mhm.
was her name, and what she got out of that was finding, her true joy and what she wanted to
Right.
do, and then we're here in the U.S. We hear a lot about what happens in your country, and and so to grow up in that, and then I think about, here's your dad saying his little girl, I want you to go. No matter what, we get older, we're still daddy's girls, right? So like
Yes.
literally saying, I want more for you, so I want you to
Yeah.
go. There's things here, but I know there's more of our outside the world we're in right now. So how powerful, how was that
Mhm.
relationship with your dad? It sounds really
Oh,
amazing.
I love my dad. He's also very inspiring himself, you know, and my parents, you know, it's beautiful seeing them so resilient, so strong, so joyous, you know, when you realize what those generations had to go through, you know, living their life hiding and in fear and running from one city to the other. You know, they lived a lot of that, but still they have so many happy memories, and they would share with you, you know, beautiful stories and so positive and so alive. And that to me is very inspiring, and I kind of look up to them a lot, and how much, you know, they kept up and they kept us up.
Yeah, and it's so, that's so powerful too, because that was a lot that they went through,
Yes.
and many people wouldn't reach and figure out how to find that joy, right? They would be just like some,
Right.
in today's day and world, sometimes we're like that, oh, woe is me, everybody
Mm,
has, but I don't, we get in those, we let those thoughts get in the way with our head, right? And
mm,
I love, like, when you were talking right now, and while this is recording, I'm watching everything that's happening in the floodings or Pakistan. And I
mm,
remember a local gentleman here was like, I just want them to know that that they'll get through this, that there's still going to be happy times, you know.
Right.
And so as as you were saying that about your dad, I kept thinking about those families, and you know,
Right.
and you know, we all have struggles in our life, right? And we have to, you know, it's sometimes it's not as much as a flood. You know, I recently have this huge struggle that I'm walking right now with the loss of my son not even 2 months ago, you know. And
Right.
so it's like it's a difference, you know. You have to really work hard on that mindset to be like, you know, yes, this stuff has happened to me and I still need to move forward, right? And not down that rabbit hole of, you know, oh, woe is me. Oh, my world is like this, right? And I still think about your dad. I still picture your dad with this little girl saying, "We love you," and you know, and then your mom too, like sending their daughter off, and so what I wanted to know is like, so you go to Dubai, which is one of my bucket list places to go see as well, and because I just hear and see so many beautiful things about it. So you do all that, you're there, and you've checked the boxes off, and you realize I want more joy out of life, right? So what were the steps you took to start finding that joy for yourself?
You know, at that point, I was just following what felt good, as in, I didn't have a plan or kind of, this is what I'm going to do about this. All I know is that I started enjoying yoga. So, just to explain, I was in the middle of that lifestyle, which is not uncommon. I always like to say that I'm not unique. Many people experience what I experience. And that's what I love about my experience, is that it's common. So, it's relatable. So, I would live that lifestyle that is Monday to Friday. Friday night is party night, the weekend is the drinking, and then Monday you go back to the complaining. And I had that lifestyle. And somewhere in between, I would go to yoga classes. And those yoga classes would just give me a glimpse of a new potential where I would get a chance to, in a way, close my eyes and feel something different, see something different than that trance of Monday to Friday, drinking, partying, smoking, back to it, complaining on Sunday evening, and repeat, right? And the yoga would kind of like plug me out, give me a glimpse of something that feels good, and then I'll go back into the trance, right? But then from there, I became more and more curious about yoga and more curious about the spiritual side of yoga and going deeper into that feeling that I was getting actually. So there's a physical part, which is for a lot of us an initiation into the world of yoga, which is okay. But then I got curious about more. I was curious about what was happening with my eyes closed. What was happening to my body connected to something different, to my emotions, to that feeling of elevation, to that state where I would like zone out and then come back. And I started going that path, attending workshops and sessions, and then seeking a training, and then really immersing myself in the world. And the more I did that, the more that became my focus. And that trance became less and less important. So I would lose the smoking habits. I would reduce the drinking. I would let go of certain people. So the focus and attention started to move towards something that's more heightened. And on its own, things started to happen until I realized, whoa, this is amazing. What's happening? And I started to seek it even more.
I love that. I love how you describe it too. I could just see you sitting there and just feeling that, you know, that powerful of starting to really feel into yourself and knowing there's that more. So tell us real quick, what were you doing before? Like what kind of job were you doing before?
I was in marketing and branding. You're typical. Like
Yes,
I told you,
yeah.
I'm a common girl.
So
Your
and so
everyday
that
girl.
that whole race of the 9 to 5, like you said, I could just see that. I remember those days, you know. And
Yeah.
so here you are, you're doing yoga, and you're starting to like do that mind shift and coming into who you want to be, and that finding that center balance for yourself and that inner joy, right? And so, what brought you to start like what what led you from doing so much the marketing and into I need to pay this out to the world?
Yeah, the more so I went on my first, like you were saying in your intro, I traveled to India and I had my first kind of full-on immersive experience, which just gave me a taste of a whole different world and a whole different potential for me. In those experiences where you unplug from your current reality and you plug into a totally new dimension, basically, you meet people who are living in a different wave, in a different checklist, people who are expressing themselves differently, who are serving the world differently. And that inspired me. And I came back from India with a vision. And that vision was definitely to immerse myself more and more into that world and start to share it. So India inspired me, and it does so to anyone who's ever visited. And if you plan to visit, be assured that you will come back with a shift. There's something about that land that's very healing, especially if you go on retreats or on experiences as such, because everyone there is seeking that. So you get that. That's 100% assured that you will get that. So I came back to Dubai. I stayed in my corporate job. Actually, after India, I stayed in my corporate job for up to 3 years or so. So it wasn't like an immediate change. But already, as soon as I came back, I started teaching. So I started teaching yoga alongside my corporate job. And that felt good because I didn't feel rushed and I felt like I could, experience the new, the new world while still having the financial stability. And I know that's a big question for many people, do you leave your job? Do you this? I didn't. I chose to kind of feel confident and have the stability before taking that step. That was my journey. And until I felt that I'm fully ready. And I paralleled my yoga with coaching and eventually with hypnotherapy so that I could actually make a living out of it as well, because that is also important.
So I love it's a great point for our listeners that are listening too, is that you can find joy in what you want to do and still carry on if you have to carry on that not that job, like that professional career if you need that while you're building something. It's okay to
Yes.
do two things. It's okay to have multiple streams of income, right? But
Yes.
I think the whole point as I'm listening to you is like finding that thing that just brings you happiness and joy and that you love to do, and that even if you're not doing it for somebody else but you just for you, it just brings you peace, right? I just think it's so powerful for the listeners to know that we have to find something that brings us joy, because we get so busy, like you said, the 9 to 5, the weekend comes, that whole rat race, right? But when we can find
Yes.
something that oftentimes we don't put ourselves first, but we can find that thing that says, I'm going to take care of me, I'm going to put myself first. And whether it's yoga, whether it's working out, whatever that is that brings you joy, that's so powerful once you can say, I'm bringing this into my life, and then everything else falls into place. I feel like once you start getting going and you get your feet wet, everything kind of just falls in place. And those you're taking care of, when you put yourself first, it actually, you take care of them better, I feel like, because you're doing for you first, and you're not stressed out. You're not going, well, I have to go take Johnny to the ball game and I really want to go get my nails done, right? You find that time for yourself. And would you agree, like, finding that joy for yourself has brought you less stress probably in your life, right?
100%. I changed in corporate. So Jana before yoga was Jana who would come back home, cry, complain, hate her life, and question everything about it, and feel hopeless, stress, anxiety, and burnout. Right? Jana, after her yoga journey, would still go back to the same job, same people, same office, nothing changed, but with such a new spirit, with a more space for gratitude, love, connection, appreciation, more emotionally stable and in control, so that nothing on the outside impacts me. Whereas before I would be so triggered by any external, situation at work or scenario or stress. But after yoga, I would be so centered and in control. I would show up differently. And the job was not such an awful thing anymore. It started to serve me financially and gave me the foundation, and I started to appreciate that. So again, it's a mindset shift more than anything. And just to add to what you were saying, that I really do believe that finding this one thing that you love simply gives you clarity in your life. Many people are in search for what it is that brings me joy and happiness, and what's my passion? What should I strive after? Just follow what makes you feel good, no matter what it is today. And the more you do it, the more you will find clarity, and the universe will guide you more and more into what feels good, what feels good, what feels good, until it's all so clear. Yeah.
That's a great point. Like finding that clarity and just, I just love that you share that. And, because we need that clarity. It's not going to all be like, oh, there it is. Aha, I have it. Right. Just take those baby steps to start with it. And you're right. Like when we have joy, all those, like those other things, just, they're not so stressful anymore. Right. They're not, especially women, we carry so much on our shoulders, and my CEO moms, everybody who watches or listens to this knows that I don't like the word stay-at-home mom, because what mom is staying at home eating bonbons every day? I don't know one, right? They're running a household. That's a business, and everybody plays a role in that household, in that business of running the household. And so I always, when I work with my moms, especially, I'm like, what brings you joy? And they're like, I don't know anymore. I'm like, okay, let's start with something. It could be you love to make wreaths. Let's start with that. Spend some time making a wreath, and you might find that, oh, I really like this. And it could turn into something bigger that, you are now selling the wreaths or whatever that is. So yeah,
Exactly.
I love it. And the other thing that I love too is, like, in reading your bio and getting to know you, is that you got certified, right? There's so many people out here right now. I think, especially like since we've come through COVID, they were at home and they feel like they're this guru of whatever, right? But they have no certification. And I think it's really important, especially because you do the hypnotherapy part, is like making sure who you work with is certified, like has their coaching. Like I've got all my certifications, my naturopathic coaching, all of those things, my mental fitness coaching. So, what made you, so with that, you went and got the certification. So you've got all set up. How did you transition from your job? I know you were working a job while you're doing this, but when you finally said, I'm going to make that step, I'm going to go and do this, like, how did that feel for you to do that? And, were you, of course, I'm sure you had nervousness, fear. I don't like the word fear because I think fear is a liar, but how did that, like, what did that feel like to finally, like, I'm doing this?
It felt in a way like within me, I've known that this day would just come. Like I've known it for years before. And it was just kind of like any minute now, like it's gonna happen. Like I kind of knew it. I was just creating mental blockages for myself. And the day that came, I'm gonna be honest, the universe pushed me because pandemic happened. And my husband and I decided to leave Dubai. There was an opportunity for us to come to Dublin. That was almost 2 years ago. And so I left my job at the beginning of the pandemic, and I knew I would never go back to any corporate job. So that was kind of my, biggest kind of yes. So I did get the push from from the universe, right? But I know that eventually I would have taken that step as well. But that was my journey and my path, and I honor it. But it felt like a no-brainer that yes, this is my chance to seek this full on.
So I think that's awesome how that, got pushed. This we're going, but let's talk about, you leave Dubai, you go to Dublin, Ireland. Do you know anybody in Dublin?
No, I mean, we had some acquaintances, people that, especially my husband with his job, would come across, but no, totally new place for us.
That's awesome. And then so now you're out in this business venture and you don't know anybody. So tell us, I mean, how, like for me, I'd be like, oh my, for me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, but I'd be like, I got this, because that's the kind of mindset I'm in, right? So
Yes.
to the audience, that is the listeners that are going, I could never do that. Like, tell us, like, what was that like? And then how did you, I'm assuming some of your business is online. So how did you get the word out about what you do, and how did you grow your practice?
First of all, you can do it. That's for sure. I can guarantee it. And I'll tell you a few things that helped. Number one, being part of a yoga community, specifically Kundalini Yoga, which is a very kind of niche community that's very focused on spirituality. The day I landed in Dublin, I opened my Facebook account and I searched for Kundalini Yoga groups in Dublin. I found them and I messaged a bunch of people there saying, "Hey, I'm new to Dublin. Where do you guys practice? Where do you meet?" And I met those people and they became my community. And today we meet for retreats almost monthly. We practice together every morning on Zoom. So community was my anchor, and it's my anchor wherever I go. Any place that I travel to, even in Dubai, even when I go back to Lebanon, even if I travel on a trip somewhere for a month, I find community. They anchor me, they teach me, and they're like minded, right? So that was my number one thing. And then from there, like you said at the beginning, I love the world of social media. And I know there's a lot of resistance sometimes, especially with entrepreneurs or people who are launching their business. There's a lot of fear around putting yourself out there. But for me, I felt like that is kind of my channel to meet people. And I've met so many friends on social media, friends that I would meet actually here in Dublin, but we would first connect through social media. Friends that have become so close just online, where we would regularly meet to support each other and hold ourselves accountable. So it really comes back to meeting the right people, whether it's through online, the right communities. And I had a lot of mentors alongside of me. Like you said, the certifications, all of that, but then the mentors who I would meet up with so regularly that were guiding me through launching my business, through showing up online, through my mindset. I had a lot of support, and I would say support is everything. It really is. And it grounds me and supports me and pushes me forward. And there's nowhere you can't travel when you have community.
I love you said community because I have every Sunday evening we have our Shira League, and it's a community of
Yeah,
women. We meet from 8 to 9 p.m. on Zoom every Sunday evening, and it's a
perfect.
great way to end the week and start the week with this great support. And we work on different things. Like right now, we're working on what's bringing us joy, and they had to make their 10 list of things that brings them joy, and they have to work on that list. And then, finding that community where you go. I moved from Virginia to Florida where I am now. And so my kids were, in elementary school. So my community was the PTA. But as they grew out, like my community changed, and such. And so like you're right, having that community is so, so important. And like you said, social media, I have a great friend. Her name is Sharon RG. She's in Canada. We've never met at all. It'll be 2 years this
Exactly.
October. And she was looking for a speaker for mental fitness. I'm like, hey, I'd love to help you. And we've been the best of friends. She helps me with the Shiro League and other things. It's so powerful, this network of, social media to be able to have these connections. And like I said before, across the globe, it's like there's no reason why you can't meet a mentor, like you said, or somebody that you can be like, hey, I love what you're doing. Can I pick your brain to? Or, hey, can we want to collaborate on such and such? So I just love that.
Exactly. That lifts up my spirit. And when you're on courses as well, it's such a great opportunity because now I have so many accountability buddies. We're on this journey with so many other people who are also becoming therapists and healers and meditators, and finding those people and working together, showing up together, sharing, so strengthening, like kind of realizing that there's abundance for all, and sharing that wealth together is such a beautiful journey. And yeah, that's my strength.
Yeah, it's really powerful because, I think sometimes what happens, especially with somebody's newly, becoming their entrepreneurship or starting their business, they're like, oh, I can't talk to that person because they do what I do. And they think it's competition when it's
Oh,
not. There's so many lessons to be learned amongst each other because they may be a few years ahead of you. So they can tell you, oh, don't do these mistakes I did, right? So there's so much
exactly.
to learn and to never be afraid of competition because it can be your biggest part of your community, like you were saying as well. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us, like, so you've started this practice, you're in Dublin. So how does your day look like when you work with a client? Is it typically on Zoom? Is it in person? A little bit of both?
So most of my clients now are on Zoom, which is such a blessing for me and for them because I work with people from all around the world, which is really fun. And then if someone is in Dublin, I could invite them over into my space, and we have sessions here. But mostly, really, it's on Zoom. And I also met someone here in Ireland. Again, when you're talking about competition, she's a hypnotherapist, she's a yoga teacher, she's everything that I am. And we met here in Dublin, and now we're actually working together on launching a new business focusing on corporate wellness, because we're both from a corporate world. So kind of going into corporate and bringing those healing holistic modalities into corporate. So I work a lot with her now on launching this new business, which is also very exciting. So I work with clients, but I also do a lot of brand development and business development on things that I'm also working on for the future. So that's very exciting.
And it helps you have a marketing background, right?
Oh, yes, 100%. Oh, yes, definitely. It does
I
help.
love that
It
you guys
does
are
help.
collaborating. I love the corporate wellness because it's such a need right now. I feel like, through COVID, we have this world of we're working from home. And I just loved it because people were starting to reconnect with their families in the home and then their job. But now I feel like, okay, we're coming out of this post pandemic and it's like, people, I'm always coaching my clients, be careful not to fall in that rat race of the job and then the family, right? Put the family and then, find that balance and set those boundaries around that. I think it's so important. I love that you're doing corporate wellness. So we need more of that. I really feel,
Oh,
and
yes.
and I know it's not just in the States. I know it's everywhere.
100%, 100%. People at work are the most stressed and are the most disconnected from, their true selves. And, again, they're in this trance, what I've experienced before and I shared with you. So our hope is to create a revolution in the workplace.
I think it's so powerful. We're actually getting ready to kick off. I'm really excited about this. So we've taken a vintage camper and we've converted it into a bougie living room. And we are going on the road with her. She's called Pop and Pearl. And we're going to pull up to corporations, to women's groups, and we're just going to sit down, like, come in, let's have a conversation. What's happening in your world today? How can we support you? We're going to bring in some speakers as well to, different topics. We're going to look locally in those areas for massage therapists to do like chair massages, just some self-care combined in there. And we're really excited about that adventure. So I think it's awesome when you collaborate with somebody else and say, hey, yes, we do the same thing, but let's do something for the world together.
Exactly, exactly. That's the power of collaboration. And it's so much exciting when you work on projects with other people. It fuels your creativity, and I enjoy that because it's not fun being alone all day at home, just being behind a laptop, right? We need that human connection, and that's what I was seeking, and that's what I manifested, and I invited this amazing partner into my life, and we're working on this project together. So that's how my day looks like. It's a combination of me and other people.
So, okay, let's talk about the word manifest because I love that word, right?
Yes.
People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'll say, I am already, like, I put myself out there. I'm serving 50 people a month, right? I may not have 50 people a month on my schedule right now, but that's what I'm serving. And they're like, and then when it happens, I'm like, see, I already told you you're going to be there. And, so
Right.
talk about manifestation. And for those who are listening, like, talk to that person who's not quite sure what manifestation means.
Oh God, how do you explain that? All right. So manifestation, let's start with everything that your mind believes is possible actually becomes a reality. Okay. So if you say to yourself, I am really stressed and unhappy, and money is really hard to invite into my life. It's just so difficult to have money. Then that's exactly what your body is going to believe. And that's, you're going to wake up feeling that energy, feeling drained, blocking opportunities of possible money and abundance, feeling stressed, feeling unhappy. And now imagine the total opposite. Imagine believing that money is abundant and it's everywhere. Money is just energy that flows into your life. And that stress is good. It's excitement. It's motivation. It means something's moving through you. And that although there's challenges in your life, you're happy because you are grateful for so many things and you believe in a positive future. Now you would wake up as someone who's open, your heart is open, your head is lifted, your spine is straight, you're radiating, you're walking down that street, and someone stops you and says, "Hey, it's been a while. I haven't seen you, and I've wanted to speak to you about this amazing opportunity. You seem so happy. When can we chat over a cup of coffee?" And a new opportunity comes into your life because you've attracted it, because you believed it in your mind. So you've manifested it because you believed it's possible before it happened. I hope that kind of puts things into perspective. So manifestation is you believing in something in your mind so much that you actually start to live it before it comes into reality. And because you believe in it so much, it actually manifests into reality, into the 3D reality.
I love that was a great explanation. I love that explanation. It's a great explanation. And I also love like sometimes, like right now going through the loss of our son, I've had many people go, "You're so strong," and and I've always lived that life of going, my son before he passed, he often would say, "Mom, things get thrown at you, but you like see that glass half full." And I'm like, "No, I don't see it half full. I see it overflowing." Because I feel like if it's full or half full, I've just filled me. But if I can overflow it, I'm filling others, right? And so, when he passed, it's like I don't feel like I can't change how I live. Yeah, my glass feels a little, little sparse right now because my joy is at the bottom, but I'm stirring up that joy to still let it overflow, because if I was to change myself now, why? Just because, yes, one of the most important things in my world is not here anymore. But I feel like his presence is telling me, "Mom, overflow it still. Nothing's different," and that's how I live my life is, there's so many things that all of us walk through and challenges, like from the things like what people in your country go through to just everyday challenges. And if we sat and said, like you said, "Oh, it's going to be a miserable day," it's going to be a miserable day, right? But if I can say, and people laugh at me. Sometimes we can have the worst storm happening outside, and I'm like, "Look how great the sun is shining!" Like, where's the sun? I go, "It's shining somewhere in the world." That's how I love to live because I don't know why I've always been like that, but never realized how much I was like that. I moved out at 17 out of my parents' house, and I don't know. I just always felt like this overflowing life that's here, and I just love how you explain that manifestation.
I love that energy that you're bringing. And I know how hard it must be on you, but yet you show up with so much love and so much kind of growth even in that journey. So
Yes,
thank you
yes.
for kind of sharing that
Oh,
inspiration.
it's
Yeah.
my pleasure. Okay, so I want to ask you, okay, you do yoga, you do all these great things. What else? And then you jump off these big mountains. So I'm going to ask you this question, and listeners are probably going to go, "Well, Pearl, why?" But what's your favorite form of self care for yourself? Like, what's your favorite thing you do for yourself? And if it's yoga, then what's your favorite yoga that you like to do?
Yeah, so my favorite form is definitely, oh God, there's so many, but I would definitely say it's Kundalini yoga to be specific. And Kundalini yoga is a very so all yoga has one purpose, and the purpose is salvation or bliss, and kind of feeling again that feeling of nothing on the outside impacts me, like joy is within me no matter what. Um, and each path of yoga takes you there, just using different ways. Kundalini yoga is one of those paths, but the path of Kundalini yoga is a fast one. It gives you an immediate kind of experience of yourself, of that spiritual self. And to me, kind of just sitting in a very meditative state while I'm chanting or breathing or using a small drum, and I'm drumming and I'm just forgetting the world and time and space, and I flow into that, just wave of love and connection and gratitude. That's just the ultimate form of self-care. And yeah, so Kundalini yoga is the one of the fastest ways to experience the spirit self.
I
That
love
makes
that. Look how
sense. Yeah.
and for those that are listening and not watching this, if you could just see her face Jana's face just lit up, like just as if you were sitting
Oh,
right there doing it with you. Like she was right in that
yeah.
moment right now. That's so amazing. I cannot believe how fast our time's going. We've had such great conversations. So I want to ask you, what's your favorite quote?
Ooh. Ah, oh my God, that's a tough one. I would say what comes to my mind, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I think that was Einstein.
I think you're right. I think Einstein did say that simplicity. And you know what? That's so important too, that word simplicity, right? Because we think
Right.
we have to have all these things, but just the simple things, because, we're not promised tomorrow. So what can you do today that pours into you, that is just gives you peace and gives you joy? And, it doesn't have to be the fancy car, the fancy house. It can just be like you were just describing yourself sitting there doing this beautiful yoga, right? It's just gonna be as simple as
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, and to add to that, especially in the world of healing nowadays, there's so much. There's so much happening and modalities and things you can try to the point where it even gets overwhelming. But just remembering that, our ancestors, all they did is spend time in nature. They didn't have yoga classes and sound healing and shamanic breath work and therapy. No, they would just go hug a tree or ground themselves and plant, a new herb or a flower and smell the flowers and swim in the ocean. And that's why to me it's just, you don't have to live up to all of the labels and the things you have to do and the lists. Just simplify and go back to the basics of nature. All the answers are there.
I love it. That's so
Yeah,
true. I mean, I grew up with my granny. It's like she planted in her garden. She loved when her garden was
exactly.
coming. Yeah, it's just so amazing. This has been so much fun. I've loved
Yes.
having you on the show. It's been
Oh,
a
me
blast.
too.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's gone by so fast. But so
Oh, so
here's what we're gonna
nice.
do. All of our wonderful listeners know that we do these better questions,
Ooh,
better lives. And if you want these cards, you can go to betterquestionsbetterlife.com. I don't get paid. I don't get
I
anything. I'm not an
love that.
affiliate.
Thank you.
Yeah, the betterquestionsbetterlife.com. She's my friend
Okay.
here in the States. But you're gonna tell me when to stop, and then you're gonna answer whatever question you tell me to stop at. So you tell me
Let's
when to
do it.
stop. Okay.
Stop.
Okay. So let's see.
Let's see.
Oh, this is a great one. What am I grateful for? What are you
Oh,
grateful for?
so much. Oh God. I'm grateful for my husband because he supports me so very much and relationships sometimes could be tough, right? But so he's my mirror and he's my kind of the person who keeps reflecting to me all of the things that I am and that I'm not, and my challenges, and reminding me of who I am. It's a spiritual journey on its own, being in a relationship. So I'm very grateful for him and my cats and my family and my home and the beautiful city that I live in. And all of this abundance that surrounds me. I'm grateful to be doing what I love and sharing with the world what I love. I'm grateful being here, and I'm grateful for being conscious and aware what is possible for me and for everyone around me. And I hope you too get a chance to experience that.
Oh my gosh. So I just like that was just like, wow. I love what you said about your husband being your mirror. That is
Oh,
so
yes.
powerful. And I said here, I go, wow, I didn't think about I've been married for 35 years. And it's like I didn't, you're right. It's like they're like who you are. They see you, they support you. And that's so powerful.
Yeah.
So tell everybody where they can find you on social media and all that stuff. Where should everybody go find you at?
Thank you. You can follow me on Instagram, which is really where I post most of my content at Tune In with Jana. And yeah, just reach out if you have any questions about hypnotherapy. I have an amazing mindset toolkit which you can download right there on my Instagram page. And I'd love to see you there. And so we can chat more.
Awesome. And when we post this, we'll make sure we put all those links there for you as well. And so I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited. So I just want to remind all the listeners, when you're listening to this episode, we, like I said, just came off of our retreat. If you want to learn more about next year's retreat, you can go to wslivingretreats.com. That's wslivingretreats.com. Get your tickets for next year's retreat because we're almost half filled up already from everybody who came. So it's been such a retreat. Our retreats are all about self-care, self improvement, really finding out who you are first and finding out how you set those boundaries around what your goals and visions are. So We had a great time at the beach in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and I'm so excited for next year's retreat. And so I just want to remind everybody that as you come into this world, we're a little rough on the outside. We're this beautiful oyster that's kind of like a little tough, but on the inside, you find this inner pearl. So I want you to go find your inner pearl of greatness. Hope you guys have a great day.
Hello, sunshine.